Good morning, everybody. Let's have a look at XRP. We're just going to think about XRP and nothing other than XRP on this video. We'll start with the long term, actually, just a bit of a reset of what it is that we've been through so far, and I suppose a little pat on the back for ourselves for sticking with the analysis and doing well out of it when everybody else is sinking to new lows. XRP is at prices that were unimaginable to the average Joe. So this is your XRP chart on the monthly going back to 2013, basically the inception of the beast. And we see that there was always this sort of descending or symmetrical or some form of consolidation formation that once you get to the end of the apex after a very long period of time, in this case 1,249 days, the apex broken, retested the support, and then power all the way up to new all-time highs, and then we go through the same process again, really. So you consolidate, all the way down to the end of the apex, in this case 2,282 days, all the way to the end of the apex, and then retested the support, and then power all the way through. Now I know that some people will go, but this move was much better. Of course it was. Crypto was a baby. It was only a couple of quid in the entire liquidity pool, wasn't there, really? So obviously if somebody sneezes a fiver out their pocket, the green candles are always going to be more. The point is, it worked, finally. It finally worked. And not only did you sort of make money out of that move, but it's actually sustained a higher price, similar to how it sustained a higher price after this instance. So, we rallied from, the depths of close to zero, basically, all the way up to 6 cents, all the way down to half a cent again, basically. Horrendous pullback. Horrendous pullback. I was involved in all of this, by the way, just to let you know. This is all, I was in on this. I bought XRP on one of these runs over here, and I had to suffer, and then, I was forgiven by the crypto gods. But so, I've been through it, obviously, over the years, been through it. It's getting on for 10 years ago now, the first XRP I ever bought. And yeah, so all I'm saying is that it didn't give it all back this time. Not yet, at least, anyway, not yet. And just as it did this time, sort of gave it all back. Went through an entire bull market to create a lower high, and then higher low, and then finally break out the apex. So that's quite good, I suppose, isn't it? That's all right for what it's worth. That's okay. Now let's stick a few indicators on it. Let's have a little look at what's going on this monthly. Well, I mean, as far as the monthly is concerned, we're above all moving averages, which counts for a lot. It really does count for a lot. We've got a pump signal as well on the monthly that was generated at the price of $1.71, which still exists. So you got a pump signal on the monthly generated at $1.71. Okay, so that was created when you poked your head out for the first time around here. So you might make the case, you could make the case that pump signal's already played, but based on the fact that this is still a bullish setup, being above moving averages, pump signal and whatnot, I would argue that it's actually still got more to run here. And actually, I know that there's a lot of indecisiveness within this market, with all the chaos which is going on in the global markets at the moment for all kinds of reasons. I would honestly, I'd make the case that that actually this is a good setup, that I'm happy to continue to hold my XRPs, and believe me, holding XRPs, that's something I'm good at. I can tell you now. I'm glad I did it. I'm finally receiving all the benefits to my conviction, and all those stinking low end nothing coins are, well, I mean, they got what they deserved, didn't they? Really, they got what they deserved. So yeah, the monthly looks good. Pump signal, excelente. Let's move it down a notch. What else have we got? So the weekly is where things is looking like potentially promising, but it's not out of the woods at all. So we got golden cross on simple moving averages, golden cross on exponentials before the breakout, to be honest with you. And now what we've had is a retest of a 50 exponential, $1.63, which is also a horizontal, which corresponds to the previous higher high. So decent support, which is being respected really nicely actually at the moment, but we're getting rejection on the 21 exponential moving average. Above that, you've got your 10, which is $2.26. Then this is where things really start to get rocky, between 242 and 250 basically. This is the big area to break, because if you're going to get continuation, it has to get closing weeklies above this area, and at that point I'd be looking for the momentum to break out, which, to be fair, we're seeing signs of that already. It's probably going to take another week to confirm. I'll be very surprised to see this breakout with conviction, today, and close the week with a breakout. Maybe a week or two. We'll see where we go. But I'll show you a few other time frames. We'll see what's going on with that. But at the moment, there's a resistance here, resistance here, resistance here, resistance here, and obviously resistance of momentum and money flow as well. So we've got the volume and momentum still getting rejected at the same time as price action. But big, massive support, relatively strong resistance, and once this area is bust, bang, straight up to a new all-time high very quickly, very easily. So have a look at the daily. So the daily has, and is still technically consolidating from its most recent all-time high, local high, I think, actually. Don't think it actually made a new all-time high. I suppose it depends on the exchange. And what we're seeing is gradually creeping back above moving averages that count, but they are all converging towards each other. So at some point we're gonna have to render this this daily time frame kind of a bit of a obsolete in a way. Not as good as we'd want it to be, because it's not really showing the signals or anything. Like I said, we got the monthly, which is really good. We've got the weekly, which is showing big support, big resistance, and where an area that we can look at for breakouts with money flow and momentum as well as price action. So that should be an easy, that's where you can do stupid stuff, like 20, 30, 40, 50% leveraged longs on a breakout, make a few 100% in a day, with a crazy futures trade, because the conviction on that breakout should be pretty savage. And you'd get some decent moves out of that one, but we haven't got that yet. But that's what the weekly is saying. It's saying, keep an eye on me. That's what it's saying. Just keep an eye on me. I could do something here. Just be patient with me, and I'll let you know when I'm ready. That's what it's saying. The daily's not really saying that. The daily's below the itchy cloud, below the supports of, well, not the supports, but below the itchy cloud. Basically giving you a trend signal over here, which has already been cancelled out, but it's still kind of weak on the daily. One drive, single drive, regular bullish divergence. That's okay. On the money flow index as well, which normally counts for a lot, that marked the low of the wick low, and also the next day candle body low. So that's usually a good sign. So you are seeing counter to the trend setups taking place on the daily. It's nothing amazingly special. Now this is where things get a little disappointing for the short term. That would be the 4 hourly just moved into a death cross retest yesterday. So with that came a rejection, and also the money flow index is sitting up here at 86. So if we do get continuation in the very short term, which is today, tomorrow, or whatever, immediately without a pullback and a reset, I think what we'll see is a big move up and then basically a big move down. I'd be surprised to see, based on what this 4 hourly is presenting, a continuous move from this level. I think what we need to see is a pullback, probably down towards $2 again, 204, 205. Get reunited with this 4 hourly 20 or 21 moving average, and then from there a bounce, and then hopefully continue to the breakout, allowing all this to reset. Like I said, I don't think we're ready to see the breakout yet, not based on the 4 hourly or the daily, or even the weekly actually, but when it comes to holding and allowing for it to move back up to higher highs, I think the chances are quite likely, given enough time, a month or two perhaps, and that's all it would take. And then from there we can reassess. What's the situation? Are we ready to sell? Or at least sell large portions, big chunks, or what are we going to do? I suppose the rest of the market's going to feed into that decision as well. But based on just XRP's chart, I like it across the board. I do like it. Weekly, monthly, daily, 4 hourly. There's not much point in looking at any other time frame. but those are the ones that I like. And you know, other than the 4 hourly, which does suggest rejection back down a little bit now. Again, we'll just measure this move, what it would look like. It was a 4-5% move perhaps. If you go lower than that, if you do start closing 4 hourlies, dailies, weeklies below $2, then actually at that point I'll be like, all right, okay, we're probably going to have to go down a little further now, probably a lot further before we have another bounce. But I think that the markets are ready to see continuation, and that's what I think. You know, inflation's down, you know, dollar's down, you know, the trade wars are sort of chilling out. Yeah, I think we're ready for a bit more of an explosive, bouncy move. But if it is anything like how alts have moved over these last few years, you know, we've actually been quite lucky in timing in a lot of these alt seasons, as short-lived as they have been. You know, we've managed to get involved quite nicely for the most part on them, and with that has come some very decent gains. Yeah, very decent gains, but the problem is they weren't very long lasting. So this one was an epic one. We got this one, you know, in here, mostly out here, and then sort of traded carefully around here. Anticipated the consolidation, nailed that more or less to the week, and then got this one as well, which is amazing. So we got that. This is where it's all started to go wrong. Unfortunately, this is where it started to go wrong. Entered in around here, and you know, scaled back in, and unfortunately, you know, started to suffer. And that's for the new entries, obviously. You know, only the new entries. The original ones, you know, the old ones, yeah, they're still running pretty high and happy for the most part. But from an XRP perspective and from a market perspective, if we are going to turn around, you know, I still think that this could easily materialize into what we're expecting, which is move up from here to a new all-time high somewhere around September. That's what this chart presents like. It does present in that way. At the moment, that's how it presents. It presents in that way. Whenever you come down to a giant moving average, whether it's a 200 simple or exponential, you know, you're looking for a bounce around that. You're even looking for a V-shaped recovery around it, as we saw on this consolidation. 200 simple, all the way up to the new all-time high. So we've come back down. It's a sharper, more, well, scarier, and also fundamentally driven pullback on the total market too here. But came down to the same area and is still responding in the same kind of way. So I am looking for the move up from here. We've got the 2 drives hidden bull as well. And it's just to complement, obviously, the overall market with a bullish chart like XRP, which is still currently presenting in a very bullish way. I like what I see, and I expect it to still perform the way I've expected it to perform within the time frame that I've allocated, which is between now and September. So I don't really have a problem with everything that I see at the moment. Slightly disappointing, but also highly opportunistic. So I'm going to leave it with you there. Bullish on XRP, obviously, still bullish on the market overall. Yeah, it is a bit of a roll of the dice. You know, there's people saying stuff on the telly, aren't they? And with those words comes dramatic, emotional candles in either direction. But still, when you're looking at a model that still fits, it certainly still fits, really. Right, so I'm going to leave it there. If you want to join the live streams, I'm doing one tonight. The Patreon members only. There's links in the description below for that, so click on that, become a patron, get access to 2 live streams a week. I'm doing one tonight. I won't be doing one on Wednesday because I'm away again. I know, spoiled, aren't I? Spoiled. But normally they are twice a week, Wednesdays and Sundays, for a bit of a market overview, and I'll take your questions and we'll look at whatever charts and do whatever. So if you want to join, links in the description below. Other than that, hope you have a nice day and take it easy.